Good evening and welcome to the June 4th meeting of the Glenville Town Board. Please rise for the invocation of pledge allegiance. Please join me in prayer. We gather tonight aware that the spirit of wisdom moves in each of us. May we be wise in our sharing, ready to listen, open to learning where new insights and knowledge may take us, drawing on wisdom that stands the test of time. Encourage, and may we be courageous enough to discard whatever which can no longer sustain our faith. We pray that our gathering may allow the spirit of wisdom to be expressed here as graciously as possible. We ask this in your name. Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call the roll.
Councilman Martin?
Here.
Councilman Giovanni?
Here.
Councilman Rutherford?
Here.
Councilwoman Woodstock? Here. Supervisor Kexley?
Here, we have somewhat of a busy night. We do have the agendas up here if you want to follow along. We also do have 4 add-on resolutions. Add-on 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to be taking add-on 4, which is a resolution appointing a new town interim justice. We're going to take that up after item 9 on the agenda, which is a resolution appointing a new assessor. And then add-ons 1, 2, and 3 will be taken up at the end of the resolution number 15. And those are basically add-on 1 is just essentially adopting after public hearing item number 5. And add-on 2 is adopting after public hearing item number 6 tonight. And then add-on 3 is to codify an agreement between the CSEA and the town board. We'll take those up in that order. Also, at the end of the evening, I'll ask the board members to consider executive session to speak about personnel matters. We'll go into executive session, which means we go in another room. You're free to stay. We don't anticipate any further business afterwards, so don't feel like you want to stay because we'll probably just come out and adjourn from that point. I see we have a lot of students here tonight. It's that time of the year when you probably should have got your assignments done previously, right? This is your last opportunity. We're going to make you stay late tonight. We'll get it done quick. So with all that housekeeping out of the way, we'll start with town council reports. I'll start on my left with Councilman Rand.
A couple of items, Mr. Supervisor. One, senior center expansion, RFP for architectural services is ready to go out, and we're welcoming recommendations on what firms to send it to. You can email that to jmcfarland@townofglenville.org. By the end of the week if possible. The RFP requests proposals for professional services to design, estimate, and ultimately bid a 1,000 square foot addition to the senior center. Also, talking about the senior center, one of the resolutions we'll be discussing tonight is the rental policy. And basically, the rental policy change was brought up by Vicki Bliss, who's actually have some pretty good experience with that, so I think that's going to bring some nice revenue for the town, and we'll get to that resolution later. And lastly, we'll be contacting Landmark Archaeology to develop a mitigation plan for the development of Knowledge Park that takes into account the artifacts. Nothing too significant at this point in relationship to the development plans, and we'll have a resolution prepared for the next meeting to approve the final phase of the work.
Thank you. Councilwoman Woodstock.
Yes, just to report that our annual boat pickup will be beginning next Monday, June 9th. It'll be in the town for 2 weeks. County Waste will be going around. If residents could have their items out starting on the 7th, that would be great. We would ask the residents to keep the items out of the roadways, out on the grass. Also, they will be within the town for 2 weeks, and so you can come to the town's website and find out where they've been and where they're going. So you haven't gotten your things out, you're not sure, you can check and see if they ended up through your neighborhood yet. Other than that, that's it.
And no TVs. There's been a
No
ton of
TVs.
TVs placed out already. They don't pick
Yeah,
up
but
TVs.
yeah, the list of approved items is on the town's website as well, www.townglenville.org. There is also sites within the county for televisions and electronics and hazardous waste, and that information is also on our website, right along with the list of approved items for the bulk pickup.
Thank you. Councilman Moore.
I think we're gonna start our comprehensive plan process. I'll be contacting you and Kevin. I understand our new planning intern is in place, so we can start planning internally for a public rollout of that probably towards the end of the summer, early fall.
Thank you. Councilman Pivotal.
We've had a couple of meetings with the DARE Advisory Board since our last board meeting. We're planning for our annual DARE Golf Tournament, which is this Saturday. The weather looks great. It's our major fundraiser for the DARE program, and all the money raised is used for teaching supplies and gifts for the kids. It's not at all involved in any of the pay or anything else, so we're looking forward to a good day of golf.
Excellent. Thank you. I know our team's ready.
Yes.
That's right.
All right, so that concludes town council reports. We'll move on to item number 5, which is a public hearing to hear all persons interested in the proposed extension of Water District Number 11, consisting of one parcel located at 48 Swaggertown Road. I will open the public hearing now. Anyone interested to be heard on that item? Going once, going twice, seeing none, we'll close that public hearing. Next public hearing to be open is a public hearing to hear all persons interested in the proposed extension of Sewer District Number 9, consisting of one parcel located at 4 Wilson Drive. Anyone wish to be heard in that? Open the public hearing now. Going once, going twice, seeing no one interested, the public hearing is now closed. We'll move on to privilege of the floor. Item number 7 on the agenda. We'll start with those people who signed up here. If you did not sign up and you wish to be heard on privilege of the floor, just raise your hand. We'll invite you to the podium, and you can address the board with the item you wish to be heard about. And the first person is signed, or the only person signed up is Tom Sadowski. Psychowski, I'm sorry. If you'd like to come to the podium and address the board.
Sure.
Thank you. And just for the record, we ask you to state your name and address.
Okay. The address where I live and the address I'm calling here about.
Oh, where you live?
Okay. My name is Tom Psychowski. I live at 84 Snake Hill Road. My concern is the development of Capital Land Motors. My father, who passed away last year, lives at 49 Saratoga Road. He literally owns the buffer property between Capital Land and the return. And they approached us a few months ago about buying the property. We gave them pretty fair terms and didn't hear anything back. My main concern is you have a natural watershed there, you have a stream there. My father's property literally has an artesian well in it. He is not on city water. My concern is that, and the problem is if this goes through, they're tearing down, I believe, 3 houses there to expand this. This is going to significantly drop my father's property value because it's literally the buffer land, and that is my main concern. And I just don't, what to do about it. Or I'm not trying. I don't want to stop progress. I understand the progress. It's just the fact that I had real estate agents come in and gave us a fair market value of what the property was worth. And if this does go through, it's going to significantly drop my father's property value, and that's my main concern.
Thank you. Just to give you a sense of the process, so tonight, the board will consider calling for a public hearing for next week, or I'm sorry, 2 weeks will be the next board meeting. We'll have the public hearing on June 18th. That was the schedule for July. We've got All right, based on the needed referrals from the county, it looks like it's been scheduled for July 16th. So
That's what I thought.
we'll have that public hearing then. You obviously are free to come back and address the board at that time as well. 16th. If the board does consider a zone change, then there's going to be a site plan review process going through the Planning and Zoning Commission, which you'd be obviously free to address their public hearing and that. And meet with them, but it appears that we're looking at a July, having a public hearing, probably August action on the zone change potential. Just so you have an idea of what the time frame would
Well, I can't resolve it tonight. No, I kind of knew the process. I just wanted to state my concern. just wanted to get kind of like the ball rolling on what's going on. You know, because I got two brothers that are involved in it, and my stepmother, who has life residency in the property, she comes into play, so it's just not me I'm concerned about, it's everyone in the process, along with the development return, because it literally is the buffer property. So,
Well, we'll have an opportunity to talk, I think, between now and July
Okay.
16th, and see what we can do.
all right,
Thank you.
like for you to leave?
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else wish to be heard? Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, yes, sir, I'm sorry.
My name is Lisa Relian.
My name is Craig Relian. We live at 2 Miracle Lane, the property next door.
So we're on Route 50, but we're in the return, but we're not in the return. So we also just wanted to come at the inception of this idea of expanding Capital Land Motors. We also have some concerns being neighbors with that gentleman I think he spoke to. Some of those concerns, we actually had no idea this was happening until the newspaper article came out. And I think the article really focused on the return and sort of missed that there were the two properties that would be adjoining or adjacent to the car dealership still on Route 50. So we obviously have the same concerns as far as how this is going to affect our property value being so close, and what recourse we might have as far as our assessment once it seems to be something that's definitely going to happen based on reading the paper. We're wondering what type of barrier or boundary, and obviously you spoke to that already as far as it's a process, and we'll find that out later on. Our other major concern is the traffic over there already. It's an issue. We sit outside and watch accidents occur with alarming frequency, so moving down that business and having more traffic, I think, is a major concern for us. We have problems getting in and out of the return now, so I think overall we were a little disheartened to hear that this was the plan or is being considered as the plan, but if it is going to go through, then I think we just wanted to have our concerns heard early on so that they could be considered throughout the process.
And we appreciate that. Just to allay a few of your fears, I wouldn't say that it's definitely going to happen. The board hasn't really even discussed it yet. I know that I generally am in favor, just to let you know. I do.
got
They
the
came
sense
through on that. I do think Capital Land is a good neighbor. If you're going to have a commercial neighbor, I think they're a good neighbor. But I wouldn't say that it's going to happen by fiat. It's, certainly going to be a process. And one of the things that you will have is site plan review, as I mentioned earlier. So that we did talk a lot about buffering. And I think the other positive that can be taken out of this is Kevin and I have already reached out to, Kevin's our town planner, already reached out to DOT. We have a meeting with them next week to start talking about revisiting the traffic count and there might need to be a light, because what's also coming across the street, I don't know if you read that in the paper or not, is the new DHA building over in front of the county ice rink. So that'll be another traffic generator. And so we want to talk to the DOT about re-looking at this intersection, because I think it's going to need attention, clearly. We do try to get the information out as quickly as possible, and because that's the best way to get the information out, and we got it in the paper as soon as we could. So we want to hear from people, that's why it's out there. So I appreciate you coming in early, but at the same timetable, contact me or any of the board members if you have any questions. You'll see it. July will be the public hearing, so it'll be good to probably come back for that if you're and then kind of go from there.
Okay.
We want to work with you as best as possible.
Very good.
Thank you, we
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard tonight? Seeing none, the floor is privilege of the court. Now move on to the supervisor's comments to the board. Just because we haven't met in quite some time, this microphone's louder than the rest of them. This is the new one. Maybe I don't need it as much. Because we haven't met in quite some time, I just want to update you on a few things that I've been up to since May or so. Early May, I attended the Association of Towns Finance School, generally for supervisors to train us and kind of discuss things such as fiscal reporting and benchmarking and the best ways, best practices, a lot of things that our comptroller does, but where supervisors also involved in daily. The interesting things I thought, particularly because we get criticized for it quite often by a resident or two, is fund balance policy, what's a good fund balance, what makes sense. I thought that was interesting, and talked about other fiscal matters, face town. So it was well worth. It was a 2-day seminar. It was well worth it, and if anyone's interested in ever attending something like that, let me know, because we get periodic what they call sessions or training opportunities. On May 12th, I met with DEC to continue our discussion on Freeman's Bridge Road, the contamination and Sunnyside water, potential for town water. We're making, I think, significant progress. The department's very interested in getting things moving forward, so I think that was a positive meeting, and we're going to be talking again next week, and just stay tuned on that, and we'll keep you up to date as things unfold with DEC. On May 13th, I met with Baptist Health to discuss the potential for the second phase of the project. As you know, the first phase is done, the second phase has already started, slowed down a little bit, but we're talking about some opportunities to move forward on that. Also on that day, I met with Oak Hill School to discuss pending plans for improvements to that organization. They're on Charlton Road. I think you all know Oak Hill School. And then it happened to be the same day that Capital Land came in to talk about their potential expansion. And then we started looking at that as well. On May 15th, I attended the UCC opening and cut the ribbon on it and kind of wish for the best and hope for the best. And as you know, our dispatchers are gone. There's been some service interruptions and changes for our residents because we don't have those people there. The door is open during the day right now for people to access our court clerks, but after hours it will be locked. There'll be a phone there. People can call into the UCC with the phone or call into our police department through a phone tree to get service. And then the kiosk is on its way that the board approved, so that will be set up and people can pay their court fines. They can access reports through the kiosk, but that's all moving forward as we speak. On May 21st, we met with a company that does solar panels. I think I briefed maybe a few of you on this. There's some discussion that now the technology is at the place where you can use solar on streetlights. And although it isn't happening very often because not a lot of people are putting up new streetlights, we're in the position in our town center to look at that. If we went with solar, we would shave about $500,000 off our costs to get that done. Question is, you got to believe there's enough sun in the town of Glenville in the month of February to run solar lights, and that's really the risk right now. So it would be great if we can go green and we can look at it. We have another meeting next week with them, and they're going to provide some data and look at it. The other thing is the solar panels are considerably smaller than they used to be. You see those big panels on the thruway, on those signs. They're not even that size anymore. They're much smaller, and the profile, we're thinking it won't really impact the aesthetics of the lights. So it's an option for us to look at. I'll gather more information, and we'll be talking about that at a work session coming up close in the next week. On the 27th of May, I presented at a CEG panel about the 28-day process we had for CTDI. It was a subject of really the model to other localities and municipalities. Kevin Corcoran attended with me, but it was a model on how municipalities can get things done if they figure out the process. So it was a good day for Glenville to be kind of the model for the rest of the region, other localities, and it was well attended and I think well done. Also attended Carl's retirement party on the 27th. We'll be talking about that as well later, and then Carol Corbett's retirement party on the 29th. So we're starting to see our retirements take hold as we talked about. We've got a few more that's come through. That'll bring us up to 6 or 7 already, and we're not even halfway through the year. So that's progressive. On May 28th, I met with Susan Swartz to discuss potential shared services between the school district and the town. As we all know, in the tax cap environment, this year we have to stay under the tax cap, but then we also have to show a plan that will save 1% of our tax levy in order for our residents to get the rebate check back. That to us is $80,000 in savings we gotta find. Now, we can find it with the village, which we're more than willing to do, but if it's not the village, it could be a school district, it could be another town outside of another county. And I think it's time now to start talking to the school districts about what we can do, and there seems to be a lot there. I also met with Patrick McGrath of Burn Hills. We have a standing meeting every month now to discuss the synergy that can occur between the town and the school district, so I'm confident we're going to be able to find some program that works, and I'm excited about that. On the 29th, I attended the opening for Freedom Park season. As we know, the concert series has started, so it's another good year. If anyone can get down there for a concert, it would be great. And just lastly on the updates, two quick things. I'm working in conjunction with Kevin in Economic Development on 3 CFA grant applications that the town will be submitting. We're hopeful that we can get those done in the short time that it's due on June 16th. But we're working on it. We know the grants. We've talked about these. One is the potential expansion of the sewer line up 50 from Price Chopper to the county line to open up sewers in the north part of our commercial corridor, which is critical. The second one is the town center plan. It's help with the lighting on that. We're going to ask for that one again. And the third one, which I'm particularly kind of excited about if we can get done, is a bike path that would go from the Maritime Center along the river to Melwick. And we would connect along the way, Melwick, Freedom Park, the White House, the Maritime Center. And the Maritime Center is talking about getting docks in there so that we can connect this kind of walkability and bike path between these cultural parks, which I think would be cool. So we're excited about that. And then lastly, I attended the planning and zoning meeting last night at their request to discuss our proposal as it relates to Freeman's Bridge Road rezoning and into general business. And then the PUD on multifamily. We had a nice discussion about that. I think the Planning and Zoning Commission understands our intent a little bit better now, and I think things are working where they need to go in that manner. And we should be hearing back from them on that shortly. I want to take just a minute to go over the finances. I'm not going to go over all these finances because you guys got the memo from Jason. You can do it on your own. But I think generally what we're seeing is that we're on track. We're a little bit over in a few places in expenses, but there's good reasons for that. We're a little bit under in expenses. But the one thing I wanted to flag is our mortgage tax revenue is not coming back. We've heard that the housing market has come back, and it just doesn't translate into the numbers. We're going to have a rough year in that revenue line. So as you see, one of the things he talked about is mortgage tax revenues are running under budget and well below last year. 8 months into the tax year, our revenue is about 30% below last year's figure. We're projecting to end about $150,000 below budget, and the budget is $675. But remember, in 2013, we received $803, so we would essentially be off almost $300,000 from last year. That's significant revenue hit to the town. So that's why last time we spoke, we talked about not going outside our operational budget, not going to the fund balance for things. You can go over some of these other highlights. I do want to just update the retirement as we touched on. We budgeted for 10 staff members to retire in 2014. As of today, 4 have retired, 2 more have filed the paperwork, and so that total payout of accrued leave time for those 6 staff members is going to cost the town $200,000. We've been informally advised of more retirements later in the year, and those expected payouts would be about $125,000 to $150,000. These payouts were budgeted. So we're on track for that. It's what we kind of expected, but it's significant revenue out the door. Lastly, just as an update, I received a letter from Chairman Tony Jasinski of the county legislature on our request to join us in the sidewalk program. It's a 3-page response. I certainly won't read it all here. I'll share it with you. But there's a variety of questions that they have. about the project, which disappoints me a little bit because we've been talking about this project for 5 years that I've been supervisor. And the town's been talking about this project for another 20 before that. This is not a new concept. It should not take anybody by surprise, and nobody ought to be this far behind that they need 3 pages of questions answered on the project. The only question the county has to ask itself is it important or not to make our town center walkable? Is it important or not to be ADA compliant? Is it important or not to give people who are taking the bus a place to get out, not into a snowbank, not onto someone's lawn, but onto a sidewalk and move along town center? So I'm a little disappointed that we received a response that seems to want to kind of draw the process out a little bit, but we'll respond to them, but we'll also tonight, in our resolution, you'll see, move forward as well. This is an important project. The county, the town, and the state should all be in partnership with it. And just the town and just the state, without the county, makes no sense whatsoever. So I just wanted to make sure you all knew where we were on that, and I'll keep you up to date as we go further. Any questions or comments? Thank you.
Normally you attend a lot of ribbon cuttings and do things in African town. Ernest Baptist, the Glenville nursing home is.
Yeah, I heard that they had a ribbon cutting. We weren't invited to it.
Yeah, speaking of partnerships with the county, that's, very interesting. And I think it's the residents that are here tonight, and particularly the students, should be aware that there was a county nursing home opened in your own community, and nobody from the town government was invited to that function. No one.
It was an oversight according to the county. But I heard over 600 emails were sent out, and we weren't one of them. So
The host community
right.
for the county nursing home was not.
Who worked with them on moving a water line in order to make the whole thing happen. Anything else? Thank you. Okay, so back to the agenda. We'll move on to item number 9, a resolution appointing William Portell of 2 Kendall Place to assessor. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, there is a vacancy currently that exists for the position of assessor for the town of Glenville, and an interview committee was formed comprising of yourself, deputy supervisor, the acting assessor, the town attorney, and myself, and based on several candidates being interviewed, we determined that William Portell of 2 Kendall Place is the best qualified and recommends his appointment to this position. The State of New York, the Office of Real Property Service, has confirmed that Mr. Portell meets the minimum qualifications standards for an appointed sole assessor, and be it resolved that the Town Board of Glenville hereby appoints William Portell of 2 Kendall Place to the position of assessor effective May 30th, 2014, for a term expiring September 30th, 2019, at a salary of $56,500 annually. Be it further resolved that Mr. Portell shall receive the benefits afforded to the town employees who are not represented by union and outlined in the Town of Glenville Employee Personnel Manual. Mr. Portell shall receive 10 days of vacation upon appointment, set to be used within 1 year. Be it further resolved that immediately upon the completion of the basic certification training program for assessor, the salary should be modified to $58,000 annually. With vacation time modified the next following January 1st to 15 days per year with all benefits as stated above.
Any questions or comments? Let me just say that I've had the opportunity to work with Bill now for a couple months, and I'm very impressed with Bill. He's done a phenomenal job. He's great with the residents. He's got a good understanding of our tax roll. We've been out on, we've met with a few prominent business leaders about their assessment, and Bill's done a phenomenal job representing the town and working through some complex issues. So I'm excited to have you aboard, and looking forward to working with you. Hopefully I'll still be here in 2018 or whatever it is. We'll see. Anything else?
Welcome aboard, Bill. Great to have you.
Yes, welcome. That's not an easy position.
No, it's not.
Seeing none, please report the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Catalani?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardi?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Congratulations, Bill. It's coming in. Don't you want to say a few words, Bill?
You're welcome.
Like that first one. I just want to say, thanks, and I want to express my appreciation to Supervisor Pettsley and the rest of the board for having faith in me to do the job. I did start about 10 weeks ago working in the assessor's office, and I have to say from day one, I felt like it was a great fit for me and for the town. Kevin Winchell and Carol Corbett were great. They've been very helpful to me, very supportive, made this transition very smooth for me. Looking ahead, I can tell you that I'm eager and ready to accept the challenges that we face with all the growth that we're having. And while working within the government sector is definitely different than working in the private sector, I feel like my experience as a businessman, as a real estate appraiser, should be an asset to the town. So just want to say thanks again. And if anybody has any questions at any time, just feel free to give me a call. Okay?
Thanks,
Okay,
Bill.
Thanks.
So the next resolution we'll take up is actually the add-on number 4. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Add-on 4. If I could just read it briefly, unless you want to. It says-
Go ahead, Mr. Supervisor,
it
it's
says-
your show.
It says we on there. I'm gonna mention you. So,
Thanks.
As we all know, Town Justice Brian Mercy advised the town board that due to family circumstances, he must resign the position of town justice effective June 5th. The law does provide that the board, when such vacancy occurs, is empowered to appoint the town justice for the remainder of the year until a new justice is elected, which will have this November. The town board appointed a search committee co-chaired by board member Gina Wozzachowski and John Pipolani to review resumes and interview candidates for town justice. The town received and the search committee reviewed resumes of 15 individuals and unanimously agreed that former town justice Richard Moran was the most experienced candidate and would most quickly be able to step into the position to be serving as the town court. The town board further, by this resolution, would accept the committee's recommendations to appoint Richard Moran as town justice to serve until the new town justice is elected and takes office at the prorated salary established for the position at the organizational meeting. This resolution appoint Richard Moran to town justice from June 6th of 2014 ending December 31st of 2014. Any comments or questions?
I would just like to say, Mr. Supervisor, to the residents who took the time and effort to submit their resumes for consideration, I really appreciate it. It's always very heartening to me to see when residents want to be involved with our governmental processes and do things for the town over and above what they may do on a daily basis. So thank you very much to all of the people who submitted the resumes. I think that Judge Moran, due to his prior experience with the town and with the village, in the situation that we're in, really had a sense of urgency. Him stepping up and offering his services just seemed to make the most sense to those of us on the committee. I think that you'll be a seamless addition, and that's really what we needed. So thank you very much, Judge, for stepping up. We appreciate it. Welcome.
Any other questions, comments?
I just wanted to say also that we did receive 15 resumes, and that was awesome. It was a pretty easy decision on our part. I mean, I've known Dick Moran since 1980, actually, when he was my sergeant in the Scotia Police Department and I was a new patrolman. So I've kind of followed Dick's career all along here, and he was the judge in the village of Scotia and the judge here in the town of Glenville, among a lot of other things, but it made it as a natural fit that Judge Moran has previously worked with our 2 court clerks, has worked here with our judge, and it'll make an easy transition for a position that's a 6-month position in the town, and I welcome Dick to that position.
Any other questions or comments? I want to first thank again those 15 folks who applied. I also want to thank Gina and John, along with Mike Cuevas, Jimmy McFarland, and Chief Rinaldi for serving on the committee. thank you, I appreciate it. I know you say it was an easy decision, but sifting through 15 things isn't that easy, and I do appreciate that. I've had the distinction, I was reminded that we served, our terms overlapped. I was on the town board and then even as supervisor, but I never actually met you, and I think that's good, because I never appeared before you, so that's a good thing. But your reputation has always been stellar, and anyone I talk to, I'm not looking for things to say about you, so I do appreciate very much your willingness to step up and serve the town. Look forward to serving with you again. Anything else? Seeing none, please record a vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, welcome, Judge. Let's give him a round of applause. Would you like to say anything?
Just very short. I want to paraphrase a movie. You know, I tried to quit and they pulled me back in. I appreciate the search committee and the board for picking me as the judge for the next 6 months. And as you said, it should be an easy transition because my clerk, Joelle Ventris, she was my clerk when I was there, and that'll work fine. I worked very well with Judge Davenport and also with Gretchen Braun. So I just want to thank the board again and the search committee.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
I understand there'll be a swearing-in ceremony at 3:30 here in this room on Friday. So if anyone is the board that obviously want to attend, if you can make it. Thank you. Thank you. If you guys want to cut out now, that's up to you.
Thank you.
I figured. We'll return to item number 10, a resolution acknowledging the increase of chips. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, in 2014, we budgeted $160,000 for from New York State for the Consolidated Highway Improvement Program, or the CHIPS program, that assists us with our paving and maintenance of our roads within the town. The balance as of March 19th of 2014 reported that we had an available CHIPS balance of $269,334.47. We also were reported by the New York State Department of Transportation that we've been awarded additional funding of $23,082.20 under the Extreme Winter Recovery Capital Grant Program. Therefore, this resolution would acknowledge the increase in CHIPS funding for 2014 and accept the grant award under the Extreme Winter Recovery Capital Grant Program. So we would be authorizing the following amendments to the 2014 adopted budget. An increase in the revenue code of the CHIPS line by $109,334. We would establish the extreme winter recovery revenue, the amount of $23,082. And then we would then appropriate the appropriate budgetary line items for expenditure.
Excellent. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution, resolution 11, a resolution establishing a standard workday for the New York State Retirement System. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved in second, and this, as I stated, is just a resolution requires each municipality to establish a standard workday for the purpose of reporting time worked for members of the New York State and local retirement system, which all of us are in, including the other employees that are listed here on the standard workday form. It's attached to the resolution. So this is just updating the requirements for reporting the standard workday of elected and appointed officials. Do I have any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 12, a resolution approving the betterment agreement with DOT. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, this resolution is in connection with the highway or the sidewalk project that we've been talking about. We would be working in partnership with the New York State Department of Transportation to place the sum of $133,000 appropriated from the town center improvement line of sidewalks for deposit with the state controller pursuant to a betterment agreement we would enter with New York State DOT, and expenditure on the draft and requisition of New York State DOT for betterment project costs in accordance with highway law. We would also execute all necessary agreements or other instruments on behalf of the town of Glenville in connection with the advancement or funding of this project. And that's pretty much in a nutshell. It helps us achieve what we want to do, which is extend the sidewalk. Essentially, from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, New York State is doing the sidewalks from Leonard Road north. We want to do them from Leonard Road south. So our portion is in connection with this resolution.
Correct. And Glenridge Road.
And Glenridge Road up to Town Hall.
This is an important project, I believe, for a lot of reasons. ADA compliance, we've talked about it, walkability, beautification. It all ties together. It's going to tie together with our lighting and landscaping. We are committed to the $133,000 by this resolution, which we talked about with our comptroller of advancing out of the general fund, our surplus, fund balance. But we have revenues coming in to offset that. So Metroplex has committed $90,000 to the beautification project. We still have to talk with Target about their $30,000 that they have into the project as well. And then we have a variety of other revenue streams. Of course, we have the Bill Social money that he pledged to donate towards the beautification project. So the 133 will be coming back in other revenue streams. Phase 2 with the lighting, then we've got another look at what we need to do to get that done. But, you know, if you're like me, you break out in sweat looking like we're advancing $132,000, but it's coming back in those revenue commitments. Anything else? Questions, comments?
I just want to say thanks to a lot of people who pulled on this oar to get this done. Supervisor who worked on this a lot of the staff has. I know Jason and Kevin, a lot of volunteers in the community. Certainly, you referenced the private donations. It's wonderful. This is really a community project, and in my way of thinking, it's $133,000 now, but if we improve that town center, we're going to make that back many-fold and increase sales tax revenue, increase property values by increasing our commercial, the appearance of our that commercial core. So I just want to say thanks to all those people, and this is only the beginning of a very good project.
I agree, and I think that's where the county needs to be a partner in it, to be honest.
Our partner.
Absolutely.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Petrovanti?
Yes.
Councilman Ramatar?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosbowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 13, adopting changes to the Glenville Senior Center. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and second. Discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, this is to change the rental policy for the senior center. As I mentioned before, Vicki Hillis came up with a way to amend the current charges and increase revenue, at the same time increase community involvement with the senior center. The current policy rates are $30 per meeting within 1 week. The new policy will be $30 per meeting monthly on an ongoing basis. So that's the only change that we're talking about.
And they've all been through their board and everything.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Petrovanti?
Yes.
Councilman Ramatar?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosbowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 14, scheduling a public hearing for Wednesday, July 16th regarding the capital land change zoning. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, as referenced earlier in the meeting, this is a resolution to schedule a public hearing for July 16th regarding the rezoning of the 3 properties just north of the Capital Land Auto Dealership from what is now currently professional residential to general business.
Seeing any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Petrovanti?
Yes.
Councilman Ramatar?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosbowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 15, approving the town board minutes for for those dates. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion, changes, alterations? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Ramachan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
I will say yes to April 2nd and May 7th. I was out of town on April 16th, I'm not in attendance, I will abstain on that, on those minutes only.
Can you break those out?
Just a separate resolution, so.
I mean, I can abstain from the whole resolution, that's fine, I wasn't here for one, so I can't say yes. So I abstain. Supervisor Preston?
I say yes.
Sorry.
Motion
I got it.
passes.
I got it. It's okay.
So now we'll just move to the three quick add-ons that remain. The first add-on resolution is again looking to enact the public hearing we had earlier on the water extension. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, this is to approve extension number 14 to sewer district 9 in the town of Glenville, shall include the property commonly known as 4 Wilson Drive. The cost of this addition to the district will be borne by the property owner and not by the town. This is true of the extension to the water district.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Ramachan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Ketzler?
Yes, resolution passes. Next add-on resolution 2 to take up the matter of the sewer district. No, the water district. All right, you're just taking them out of order. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, this resolution is to approve the extension number 42 to Water District number 11 within the town of Glenville, and it applies to the town at 48 Spikertown Road. As with the other resolution, the water improvement would be borne by the developer and not by the town, the cost of the this project.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Ramachan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Ketzler?
Yes, resolution passes. Last add-on resolution number 3 regarding agreement between CSCA and the town of Glenville. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, CSEA Civil Service Employee Association Unit has filed a grievance on behalf of unit employee Carl Pullen regarding his hours and rate of pay. The CSEA recently filed an application with the New York City Public Employee Relations Board for the appointment of an arbitrator to hear the grievance, and whereas we, town, and CSEA desire to come to an agreement which will avoid the expense and a certain outcome, this resolution is to resolve the grievance of Carl Pullen by paying him the sum of $700 less appropriate withholding.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Ramachan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Ketzler?
Yes, resolution passes. Last order of business before executive session. New business. Anybody having new business? I'll start on the left with Councilman Ramachan.
Nothing new.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski.
I would just like to go on record by saying that with regard to our attempts at partnership with our surrounding municipalities and also with the county, I feel like we make a pretty good effort to try to include, ask for input, consolidate, find ways to save the residents money. And on the face of it, you would say, well, maybe it is just an oversight that we weren't invited to the opening of the county nursing home. I feel like that's a huge slap in the face, not just to us, but to our entire town, for the people who live here, for the people who fought to move the building to where it is now, so we could keep the sledding hill, for the people who made sure that that project didn't impact their lives. And those were the ones that did it. It's a slap in the face, not just to us as a board. You know what? It comes with the territory. Politics is politics, and you get involved in it, and that's what you expect. But to completely disregard the representatives of the people who live in this town, who voted for them, because they won, the majority voted for them, it's ridiculous to me. And
That
you
was
know,
exactly my prior point.
it is shameful. It is shameful. And
I mean, I would even like to go as far as to say that a letter should be drafted expressing dismay and disappointment at least.
We can talk about that.
so, those are my comments, and we don't get very many opportunities to go on record about things like this, but I just feel like, as a resident, someone who lives here, if I heard about that, just in the course of action, I'd be upset. I would be upset. So we will continue to do our level best to make sure, and I will make sure that I represent the residents with class and with pride, and do not let politics interfere with the business that's going to benefit the residents of this town. as I've done since I took office. That's it.
Thank you. Councilman Martin.
I can't say any better than that, well said. I have nothing else.
Councilman Pittlebaum.
I have no new business.
Excellent. I have no new business either, so I'm going to ask for a motion to go into executive session. Again, I wouldn't suggest you stay. We'll come out. We'll probably adjourn. No further business to be discussed, so don't feel that you have to stay. Motion to go into executive session.
I'll move it.
Personnel matters. Second. All in favor, aye. Any
Aye.
opposed for an executive session? Thank you. Yeah. You guys got papers to sign, bring them up.